Spiritual Principles, Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. The 38th Spiritual Principle. All the forces located in the higher one must also be in all those below him. From Tes, Talmud Eser Sfirot. Please refer to the written materials for the text in Hebrew. And this is the secret of the 4 letters of the 4-letter name, that the tip of the Yud is the essence of Ein Sof, that is, the power of the Creator, included in the creation's plan to give joy to His creation, which is the essence of the Kli Keter. And the letter Yud is the essence of Chokmah, that is the first stage, that is the aspect of power, which is in action, which is immediately included in the spreading of the light of Ein Sof. And the first letter is the essence of Binah, that is the second stage, that this is the aspect of the release of power to the aspect of action, that is the light that has become coarsened from Chokmah, as mentioned above. And Vav is the essence of Zeir Anpin, or Hagat, Nei, that is the propagation of the light Hasadim, which came out through Binah, that this is the third stage, the aspect of power for revealing the action as mentioned above. The lower letter He of the name Avaya is the essence of Malchut, that is the fourth stage, the aspect of revealing the perfection of the Kli of receiving, which intensified to attract the fertility, supplement more than the measure of its distribution or from what it receives from Binah. And in this, the property of the desire to receive until its full development, and the light is dressed in its own Kli, which is the desire to receive, which is completed only in this fourth stage, and not before. In this you will understand in simplicity that there is no light in the higher and lower worlds that would not be ordered in the order of the 4-letter name, that this is the essence of the 4 stages, as mentioned above, because without this there can be no desire to receive, which should be in every light. For desire is a place and a measure of this light. For it is the principle that all the forces that are in the highest are always in the lowest from him, and he receives with necessity all the Achorayim that are in his highest. And at that moment, when he refined himself to the third stage, and the level of Chokmah came out, and he received the aspect of Din, which was revealed in him from the lack of luminescence of Keter's light, as stated above. And so then also the Sefirot, which are below Chokmah, received that Achorayim, which also they received from the Keter's first propagation, Chokmah, for they were all there at the same level as Keter, and now at the level of the stage 3, it turns out that they are lacking the light of Keter, and they only have from the light of Painim, of Chokmah. And in this same way, when he thinned himself from stage 3 to stage 2, and the level of Binah emerged, which now turns out that Binah also suffers from the exit or departure of the light of Chokmah, and it turns out that she receives 2 aspects of Achorayim into herself. They are Achorayim of Keter, that she already received during the time she was on the level of stage 3, and Achorayim Chokmah she now receives. So now the Sefirot below Binah also suffer from these Achorayim of Chokmah, in addition to the Keter Achorayim of stage 3. And so on, in a similar way, at the moment when Masach thinned to the stage of Keter. Only a level of Malchut came out. There's a lack, and they lack the 9 first Sefirot there. And it turns out that Malchut receives from 9 Achoraim, that the time when she was in a level of stage 3, she received Achoraim Keter, and during that time when she was in stage 2, she received Achoraim Chokmah. And while she was in stage 1, she received Achoraim Binah. And now, because she does not have any light except her own, she also receives from Achoraim of Zeir Anpin. And they are 6 Sefirot, Hagat, Nei. And so Malchut received 9 aspects of Achoraim. Man himself determines the measure of which he receives or does not receive. This is the result of what we read. It is necessary to understand well that as much desire you have for the spiritual and for eternity, for completeness, that much you will get. What do we have? You always have a kind of spiritual aura, your perfect state, that is, one that is inherent in the purpose of creation in relation to your soul. This is your perfect state. It is always there. You do not feel it, but it is there. And besides, there is your present state. When we take this difference between the two states, the perfect state and the present, we get the difference, the delta, which should be reduced to 0 in our lifetime. And then you will achieve your perfection. If you don't work on it every day, you have a lot of classes in the material world, then it puts pressure on you. And its pressure increases more and more. Why? The surrounding light, it must enter, and it tries to enter and will enter into you. The light does not stop striving to enter the Kli. The Kli makes all sorts of plans and calculations in order to receive or not receive it, and it receives only what it has to receive. And your whole task is you must receive it, but you have no strength to receive it, and so you resist this. That is the reaction to your resistance to getting a part of your delta. Is felt by you as an evil coming from the control system of the universe. If this was not so, you would have been satisfied by what you have. You would be lying in your bed and would not strive for anything else. And in order to get this delta, any part of it, you need to make an effort. Agree with the controlling powers, the control of the universe in relation to you. Not fight with windmills, but agree with it. And this causes some suffering, discomfort, because you have to choose what the Creator wants for you. You must choose giving instead of your natural desire to receive for your own sake. This is where all the suffering is felt. That is your place in you. This is a place where you yourself must feel all the abundance destined for you. You must make this place so that there you can place all the difference, the whole delta between your present state and your perfect state. In one fell swoop, this can't be done because there is no strength for it. And gradually, every day, your task is, and only yours, not God's, no one else's. No one else will force you to do this. You have to expand this place within yourself so that you can gradually accept an increasing part of this, your only delta, belonging to you. In any state, one must always proceed from the fact that there is light and there is the receiver of light. And the relationship between them is governed by the power of comprehending the recipient of this light. And the light has the property of bestowal, and therefore the recipient, by adapting his powers to the light, by the correspondence of properties and attributes, reaches the light in his kilim and receives it. This is achieved by raising the Or Hoser, and this picture should always be in front of your eyes, and everything else is an invention of spiritually illiterate peoples, religions, groups, sects, all sorts of theoretical scholars, and etc., which of course pursue some kind of noble goal, but all this is not a method of liberating a person from under the yoke of filth and evil, which is given only in the Kabbalah, the way to do this. One way who comes to the light with all its coarsening makes a zivug on the Masach of the spiritual object, rises and raises the Or Choser, which has some strength. It can be valid for, let's say, one stage. It raises the Or Choser by one stage, for example. To raise only the light of Ruach, it can also have greater power to receive the light of Neshama, or even the light of Chokmah. It all depends on the strength of his Masach, the person's Masach. Take into account that the light of Gadlut always passes into a spiritual object. Full light always passes into the Kli, and the Kli can receive from it, for example, only the light of Ruach, or even a part of Ruach, for example, Nefesh de Ruach. Get just a little Ruach. So look at it always. It turns out like this. It can never be so that a little bit of light passes and the rest does not. Light is simple and indivisible. The light completely passes into the Kli, which the Masach has, which is capable of holding some portion of the light in the Kli. For example, he has a Masach only on Kli Nefesh of Ruach, a very weak Kli. What is the result? Well, first, the full light hits the Masach and completely passes into this Kli, but instantly. It is a full Gadlut, comes the whole Naran Chai, comes to this weak Kli, most of which disappears or departs immediately. Where? It goes back to the source. It has no place in this Kli. Of course, in fact, it does not go anywhere and does not come anywhere. There's always a light present inside him, which always remains in its place. But the next stage, which precedes the perception of this person, this Kli comes completely. And therefore there is a desire to feel more. Where does this come from? Because each time a full, indivisible light in itself comes and enters the Kli, it immediately leaves, and only that which has power in the Kli remains in the sensation. But he, of course, leaves a trace, meaning the light behind him, in the Kli. After all, nothing disappears in the spiritual. And this footprint, this reshemo in the Kli, strengthens the desire for that light that made this footprint. And this is the essence of development and progress in the spiritual work.